I started to realize that I really could start to reduce consumption and that it would have these hidden benefits. So we're going to talk about the spectrum of green. Sorry, that's really not showing up very well. So the spectrum of green is kind of this, there are unrealistic ends of the spectrum, right? So never green is like, I call him cranky neighbor Bob, right? He's the guy who doesn't believe in recycling and he doesn't believe in climate change, whatever. And he's the guy who just like could not care less about the environment, right? And then there's the evergreen green, the people who are like always concerned the environment and like totally crazy, wacky, crunchy, right? I don't consider myself evergreen green. I certainly don't consider myself never green either, but I don't believe that I ever will either because it's a spectrum, right? So there's little things that we can do to continually move a little bit greener, just a little bit. And we're going to talk about those things. So again, recycling is on the spectrum. It is green. It's good to recycle as long as you're doing it properly, right? Reusing what you can is even better than that. And even better than that is reducing consumption, or consumption and packaging of items. So we're going to start with bags. This is an easy one. I like to start with bags because it's the one that probably everybody's already doing, or at least making an effort, right? So if you are recycling your paper or plastic bags, that's great. If you are reusing them, that's even a little bit better. If you're using a reusable bag, that's even better. And then even better than that, the best version that I could think of is to upcycle your own. So, and the reason why I mention that is Cranky Neighbor Bob, what would Cranky Neighbor Bob have to say about the reusable bag? Has anybody heard the argument against, or arguments against reusable bags? I know you have. Think if you're like the person who doesn't believe in climate change, and you're like, what would you say? It's my right to have one, right? Or, well, those reusable bags, you know, they have a lot of resources wrapped up in them too, which is totally true. Cranky Neighbor Bob is right in that case. However, there have been studies done, and I think it's something like, it depends on how you look at the study and which one you look at, but it's something like 20 times. So if you use it 20 times, which I use my bags once a week, so after 20 weeks, it's better to use a reusable bag than it is a plastic or a paper bag, okay? And again, if you upcycle it out of something that you weren't using anyways, that's even better, right? Because there's all of those resources have already been used. They're just being used in a new way. Food. So there's a couple slides about food, in fact. So you can buy in a recyclable container. You can buy in bulk, and then you can go really crunchy and actually bring your own bag. So these are some bags that I made out of curtain material, I think it is. And I'm such a dork that I actually went to Winco and I had the person weigh this because I was curious. It was like, well, how does this compare with a plastic bag, right? Because you're paying for the weight of the bag. And it was 0.01 pound for the disposable bag and 0.02 pounds for this bag. So unless you're buying saffron in bulk, you're probably fine. The other thing I want to point out about this, it's really hard to see here, so I'm going to read it to you. The recyclable containers here on the far left, the one on the left is a glass jar, and then the one next to it is a plastic jar. The plastic jar says 84% less packaging, and it has like a pretty green leaf. So what do you guys think about that?
Misleading.
You think it's misleading? Why?
Just in general, I have beliefs about that. If you look at that image alone, the planner's guide, everything about it says.
So what I think is interesting about it, and the reason why I bring this up, is that it's true. It's a totally true statement because what the fine print says is by weight. 84% less packaging by weight. And weight of stuff can actually be a big piece of the pie when you think of transportation that you were mentioning, right? If you're trucking stuff around, if something weighs twice as much or 84% more or less, whatever, then that's a big deal. Which is the right answer? Which is the right jar?
I would say glass.
Glass?
Well, it depends on what you're going to do with the glass after you're done.
Exactly.
So glass sounds like the right answer, but then if you're just going to recycle or, you know, I mean, glass doesn't recycle as well as plastic.
Correct.
Because it just breaks. So it's going to take a lot more to bring it back to a reusable material, than a reusable plastic could possibly
Right.
be. So it just depends on how you use it.
Yeah. Depends is the right answer. There's no right answer. I'm not going to give you black and white answers because I think it does depend. I still think that buying in bulk is the right decision over that, but the 84% last packaging, like I said, it is true. It really is true. So I would say the short answer is if you plan to reuse the glass jar over and over and over again in your home for other uses, great, go ahead and buy the glass one. But if you were presented with this option and it was going straight from your house into the recycling bin after you were done with it, then the plastic one might actually be a better option when you're thinking of the whole environmental footprint. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. That was a trick question. All right, so spaghetti sauce you can buy in a recyclable container. You can buy organic. You can buy local, recyclable or reusable container. You can make your own. Same thing with burritos. I couldn't really come up with like a pea soup green version of burritos. I don't know of any packaging that would really be recyclable or reusable. But you could buy local or organic. Does anybody have a tamale lady in their neighborhood? Yeah. So that's a local version. I don't know the legality and all the other stuff, but I've bought tamales from my local neighborhood gal and been just fine. And then you can make them yourself, right? And that's really the reason why I included this particular category, is because you make them yourself. What are some of the hidden benefits of making your own food? So the downside would be what? Time spent, right? But what are some benefits? You know when to do it, right? You know that there's not some like 18-syllable word that you can't pronounce. If you have allergies or a family member, that kind of thing. What else? Yeah, right. It's usually I can't think of a single case where this is not true, but it's usually much cheaper to make your own food and to reheat it or whatever than it is to buy prepackaged food. Clothing, this is an interesting one. You can see I'm like kind of all over the map with the spectrum here. This question is kind of questionable. It's hard to say, black and white, this is the most eco-friendly thing you could possibly do when you're clothing your body, or this is the least eco-friendly thing you could possibly do. But here are some options. So you can buy from a local store, buy really high quality stuff so it lasts for a long time and then you're not replacing it with low quality stuff. You can buy it from a thrift store. You can repair it if it wears out. You can make your own. You can refashion. Has anybody heard of refashioning? Yeah, I know Jen has. So this is a picture here that I liked of a blog, and this gal found this vintage dress. It was totally not her style, but then she actually sewed it and made it into her prom dress. Super cute. So that's refashioning clothes. Shoes, you can buy them made locally. These are Fry boots on the far left. I will own a pair of Fries someday. I just don't yet. And they're made either in the United States or in Mexico, depending on which ones you get. You can buy really high quality stuff, again, so it doesn't wear out. Buy from a thrift store. You can repair them. Does anybody have a cobbler that they use? Mm-hmm. The best thing ever, right? These boots have been to my local cobbler, I can't tell you how many times, probably like 30 times at this point. And it's like about for the cost of a latte, I get essentially a brand new pair of boots, which is awesome. And, okay, what's another hidden benefit of having high quality shoes that you use over and over and over again? They fit you, right? You've broken them in. You know they fit. You know they feel good. I can walk around in these all day long. They're not pinching. They're not, I don't have to worry about like what kind of weird blister I'm going to come home with that night. Gifts. This is a good one. This is totally a shameless plug for another wing of my business, which is we do what are called evergreen gift markets. And we're doing 5 this year. So we did 3 already, and we have 2 more coming up. So the Vancouver one is 12/12, and it runs from like 10 to 4. Anyways, you can go to evergreengifts.net and get more information. But buying from local vendors, that's important. You can buy from a thrift store. Maybe your family isn't there yet. That's totally cool. My family, luckily, has gotten to the point where we're totally cool with getting stuff that came from a thrift store. Local vendors using reused materials is, of course, better than just local, right? You can make your own. Another shameless plug, so this right here is one of my Pinterest boards. I'm the reuser on Facebook and Pinterest. And that's one of my Pinterest boards about handmade gift ideas. And then giving experiences. One of the things with experiences, people always say to me, yeah, I tried that, but then the person didn't actually do it. You know, it was like, I gave them a night out or whatever, then they never took me up on it. So the way I've gotten around that, because my family totally does the same thing. So the way I've gotten around it is schedule it. So I gave tickets to a hockey game one time, and it was for my brother and sister-in-law. They were new parents. And I said, are you guys free on this particular night? And I didn't tell them what the rest of it was, but I was like, make sure you're free. I'm going to watch the kid. You're going to go out. So, and that forced us all to actually make it happen. Appliances, I actually don't know a ton about appliances. It's not my area of expertise, but I included it because appliances can be a much bigger, if we looked at the environmental footprint of our lives, things like transportation, our homes, those are where the big piece of the pie is represented. So we can buy really high quality, we can look for the Energy Star label. Trading in old and inefficient appliances can be really helpful sometimes. And that's why I said repair if not too old. So I do know at least that much about appliances, that if they're, especially like refrigerators and freezers, if they're more than a certain amount, that's like 10 years, I think, maybe 8 years, then it's actually worse because they've come so far in technology. It's actually worse for the environment if you repair it and keep using it than if you just bought something new. And then this one's kind of weird. Share with neighbors and family. What? The reason why I put that in there is we're going to talk in a second about bulk buying. And so has anybody ever bought happy meat, like bought meat from a local farmer? I call that happy meat, right? Because you can go and see it before it's butchered. And just living a happy life. It's not in a meat place. That's not nice. But you may not have enough room for it, right? So you can, if you have neighbors that want to go in with you, maybe you can share like a garage fridge or something like that. So that's why I included that one there. Paper, obviously buying recycled content is good. You can use both sides. And then you can go digital. So there's a couple different things here. Google Drive, this is what actually is bringing you the presentation. I love Google Drive. And Paper Karma and Wunderlist are a couple other ones that I wanted to mention. So has anybody heard of Paper Karma? Did you guys hear about it from me?
I don't remember, but it works about half the time. And sometimes I get back on their mailer, like after.
I've noticed that too, yeah.
But
I'm not super great about staying on it either. So what Paper Karma, the idea of it is that you are able to take a picture of your junk mail, and then that company contacts who sent you the junk mail and says, this person needs to not be on your list anymore. I will say that my partner doesn't use Paper Karma and I do, and I've noticed a noticeable difference when I separate everything out. His stack is like this and mine's like, there's only 2 or 3 things still that I need to take care of. And then Wunderlist, that's the one down in the bottom right here. Wunderlist is a list-making online app, so if you have a smartphone, I'll tell you my little story about why I use Wunderlist and why I love it. So I used to write my shopping list each week on the back of a receipt. I thought, oh, that's awesome, I'm reusing something that would have been thrown away. And then I lost my list one time in the store. And I'm such a list person that when I lost my list, that was it. Like I literally had to go home. I spent about 45 minutes looking for it, never did find it, still don't know where it went. I literally went home because I was like, I do not know. Once I've got it on the list, my brain is like, nope, done. So anyway, Wunderlist is an online list maker. It's pretty simple, and what's cool about it is you can share it out to other people. So my partner and I have a couple shared lists. If he eats up the last of the Doritos, I've told him it's your responsibility. You're the only one who eats them. So when he eats them up, then he has to put them back on the grocery list. So I will get them for him. And then it actually pops up on my phone when he does it. It'll say, Carlos added Doritos to the list, which is awesome.
And you can have multiple different lists.
Yes.
So you can have grocery list, to-do list, all of the lists.
Yeah.
That's great.
If you're a list person, you're a list
Great.
person, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Me too. If you're a list person, check out Wunderlist.
Also, Anydo, and you can wipe it and it makes a cross through it, like it crosses
Ooh,
it
that would be
out.
very
And
satisfying.
it's very satisfying. It's the best.
I like that. Any do?
Any do.
All right, look at that. All right, paper towels. You can buy in bulk. Try to buy the least amount of packaging as possible. I have another little story for you about this. So again, my partner, not super green, although he's come a long way. And we were in Costco, and he's the only one who used paper towels because I don't use them in the house anymore. I use like a sponge and kitchen towels. But we were looking at all of the different options, and I said, oh, you know, this is the best price. And he said, yeah, but babe, look at these. These are the kind that you can only pull off like a small, right? The perforations are smaller. And I honestly think that we haven't bought paper towels since that story, which was probably like at least 2 years ago. Like crazy. So that was kind of awesome. You can use the sponge and kitchen towels. You can buy your stuff from a thrift store, right? Because then it's reused. And then this one here on the far right, this is actually a blog that I found where she made her own, she sewed her own reusable ones. And then they have these, I would never get this fancy, but they have these little snaps so she can like roll them up onto a real, you know, paper towel holder. So that's kind of cool. All right, this is kind of a funny one. So you could use recycled content toilet paper. I actually don't. I like Charmin. I'm a total like snob about it. Having a low flow toilet in your house is important. Has anybody used a bidet before? Okay. This is actually a bidet attachment that you can buy off of Amazon. It's like $30. And so if you're eliminating the use of paper, that's a good thing, right? I'm not saying that you always are eliminating the use of paper when you use a bidet, because I understand that's not how it works, but sometimes, hopefully, that's true. All right. So I've given you a bunch of examples, and what I want you to take away is there are ways to look at things that are a little bit better, right? A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So if can I recycle this is the wrong question, maybe we need to ask ourselves some other questions like, you know, do I really need this thing? Is there a greener alternative? What am I willing to change? There's that C word that everyone hates. So I'm going to come clean with you and tell you some of the things that I'm doing and some of the things that I'm not touching. So we don't have a bidet.